Hi readers, welcome back to my channel. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I had planned to do a book haul video for this weekend anyway, but it's not this one. I'm recording this on a Thursday night, and I had every intentions. I was innocently driving home when all of a sudden traffic was diverted. Turns out there was a gas leak, and I ended up in another part of town, and I thought, oh, since I'm in this part of town, maybe I'll just go to Barnes & Noble. But then I thought, no, I've been there too many times. I have everything they have. And so I decided to go to Second and Charles instead. Hey, and look, I came out with like 65 bucks worth of books, and it's a lot of books. Most of this was twofold. Increasing my Nora Roberts collection and adding in some books about my nonfiction study side, World War II. There are two exceptions, and I'll tell you about them later. But I've got my glasses ready here, and I want to tell you what I picked up. First up is Nora Roberts' Sanctuary. I don't believe I've had this, nor have I read it. This was published, copyright 1997. I don't know why I don't have it. Who knows? Anyway, this looks like this book belonged to Irene, and it's number 4 of Irene's books. I love it when I find someone's name in a book or underlines or something like that. I absolutely adore it. I almost will buy a book just for that. And I think I've had another book that I picked up and had a name in it and I didn't buy. In Sanctuary, photographer Jo Ellen Hathaway thought she'd escaped the house called Sanctuary long ago. Yet the sprawling resort off the Georgia coast continues to haunt her dreams. And now, even more haunting are the pictures someone is sending her. Strange close-ups and candids, culminating in the most shocking portrait of all, a photo of her mother, naked, beautiful, dead. So, now Joe's going to have to return to the island, and it doesn't mention... Oh, it does. Here you go. With the help of one man, learn the truth about the tragic past. But Sanctuary may be the most dangerous place of all. Sounds like a good time. Next up is one I have not heard of. This is called Midnight Bayou. It's not set in Louisiana, is it? Because Sanctuary was... Nope, Sanctuary is Georgia, Midnight Bayou is probably Louisiana. No name in this one, folks. This was copyright 2000... No. Oh. Funny. Copyright 2001, but there's an excerpt somewhere in here. Oh, it's at the end. It's an excerpt from dun 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 Sanctuary. At the back where they talk about other books you can read, it's an excerpt from Sanctuary. I did not know that when I picked this up. In Midnight Bayou, Declan Fitzgerald has always been the family maverick, but even he can't understand his impulse to buy a dilapidated mansion on the outskirts of New Orleans. I can't imagine how he can afford it. Ever since he first saw Manet Hall, he's been enchanted and obsessed with it. So he's going to restore it, but the days spent in total isolation in the empty house take a toll. He sees visions of days from a century past and experiences sensations of terror and nearly unbearable grief. Local legend has it the house is haunted, but only the companionship of alluring Angelina Simone can distract him from the mysterious happenings. But she's got her own surprising connection to Manet Hall. A connection that will help Declan uncover a secret that's been buried for years. Next up, another Nora Roberts, True Betrayals, and this is another one I've not heard of. It is copyright 1995. What was I doing in 1995? Who knows? I was in college. I didn't get to do much reading then. In True Betrayals, Kelsey Biden had always believed that her mother was dead, but guess what? She was not. Her mother's still alive, and she had spent just finished spending years in prison for the murder of her lover. Now, at Naomi, her mother's Virginia horse farm, how do you spend years in prison for murder and still have a horse farm? Anywho, Kelsey is trying to sort out a lifetime of deception and her feelings about her mother. But as the two women rebuild their relationship, and as Kelsey finds herself swept into an unsettling new romance, she must decide, once and for all, who she can trust and who threatens to betray her. I hope it's the love interest. It probably won't be. There's always a happy ever after for Nora. Next one, I swear I've read this, and I might have, but apparently I don't have a copy, at least according to my app. That is Black Hills. This again is told from the male point of view, which is a little bit different. But Cooper Sullivan has recently left his fast-paced life as an investigator in New York to take care of his aging grandparents and the ranch he's come to call home. Though the memory of his touch still haunts her, Lil has let nothing stop her dream of opening the Chance Wildlife Refuge. But something, or someone, has been keeping a close watch. So small pranks and acts of destruction escalate into the heartless killing of Lil's beloved cougar. Memories of an unsolved murder in these very hills have Coop springing to action to keep Lil safe. I swear I've read this. Anywho, they got to find a twisted killer and work together because he, the killer, has singled them out as prey. I need to slow it down here. So the next book is not by an author I read right now, but I had a really good bad time last year reading Sidney Sheldon's Tell Me Your Dreams. That book was awful. It was awful, but I had a good time making fun of it. Now, I don't like to make fun of authors typically, but this guy was a bestseller, and it was just awful. The writing was stilted. No one talks like that. Anywho, but I had such fun with it that I thought maybe I'd check out some others and see if I could have fun with them too. Now, this is Fern Michaels' Plain Jane, and this was published in 2001, but I have known about Fern Michaels all my reading life because I did read some of her books back in the day. And what I want to know is, does she stand up to the test of time like Nora Roberts did? I actually hope so. I hope I don't get another Sidney Sheldon. Plain Jane. Back in college, Jane Lewis would have given anything to be like homecoming queen Connie Bryan. But obviously, from the nickname, you know she was not. She was overweight, frumpy, and painfully shy. Now, she's a confident, lovely, thriving psychotherapist and has her own radio talk show, a beautiful old Louisiana mansion. Gotta love the money on these folks. And her affectionate, nutty dog, Olive, to keep her company. The only one thing missing is someone to share her life. Enter the boy she always admired from college. Now, he's inspiring her to hope for a future. And she's also, twist here, never forgotten the brutal, unsolved attack that ended Connie Bryan's life and that haunts her still. Present collides with the past, and Jane begins to find clues into the identities of Connie's attackers, plural. clues that send her into a world of risk and excitement, challenging her to become a truly extraordinary woman if she dares. Now, interesting premise. I always love a good murder. But what really sold me on this book is, and you can't see it on the cover, but there's a Dear Reader here at the very beginning, before the novel starts. And she mentions that her readers have always been, Fern Michaels mentions her readers have always been telling her that they love it when she includes a dog in her writings. And she's an animal lover too, so, she had 5 dogs of her own. And then I can't talk about this too much, but it makes me tear up. But anyway, she saw something on TV, and it bothered her. It was the death of a canine police dog who was shot. And she says that, if the dog had had a bulletproof vest, it would not have died. But police budgets. So, she says, because I never wanted to see a funeral like that again, I donated 22 bulletproof vests to our canines here in my state. During that time, I learned so much about these remarkable animals, yada, yada, yada. And this book includes a retired police dog. So, I mocked Sidney Sheldon. Whether this book is good or bad, I will give my opinion. I will not mock her. Anybody who donates bulletproof vests for police dogs, they're a good person in my book. Not saying Sidney Sheldon wasn't, but yeah. That's a winner for me. Okay, moving on to my current area of nonfiction interest, and that is World War II. I stumbled across this. I had not heard about this. This is by Eric Larson, who wrote The Devil in the White City, Dead Wake, and another book that I recently bought that I don't remember the name of. So this is called In the Garden of Beasts, Love, Terror, and an American Family in Hitler's Berlin. This is nonfiction. It might be my next nonfiction read, just because I had a DNF today, and it really miffed me. It made me so upset because I wanted that fiction book to be better than it was, so I need something that'll make me happy. This might be it. So, 1933, Berlin, William Dodd becomes America's first ambassador to Hitler's Germany in a year that proved to be a turning point in history. He brings along his wife, son, flamboyant daughter Martha. At first, Martha is entranced by the parties and pomp and the handsome young men of the Third Reich with their infectious enthusiasm for restoring Germany to a position of world prominence. But as evidence of Jewish persecution mounts, her father telegraphs his concern to a largely indifferent State Department. They watch with alarm as Jews are attacked, etc., etc. Is this Fitler? Is this fiction or is it nonfiction? He's got a huge bibliography, so it might be like historical fiction, but he's done some research on this. It's categorized as it looks like it's nonfiction. So anywho, I'm going to count it as bibliography, lore, biography-ish, biographical references. That's going to be next read. Anywho, I digress. Next one is Why the Allies Won, autographed by the author and it was $6, so I had to pick it up. This is by Richard Overy. He also wrote a book that I have somewhere in my collection back here. I think it's called Blood and Guts or Blood and something, another. Anywho, so that will be a reference book that I'll get to read later. Next one is, and at this point I've got medium hopes for this. I don't know anything about the author, but it will be, she was a New York Times contributor, published in Newsweek and other publications. But this is going to be a reference for my Women in War series. I will probably not read it back to back, still upset about the DNF. It is Our Mother's War, American Women at Home and at the Front During World War II. So, I've been looking more on the European side. This will give me, for my Women in War series, and look at the American side. Finally, because it was $6, and I just finished another oral history of 9/11, and 9/11 will, for my life, be it will have a big impact, and still does. But it is 102 minutes, the untold story of the fight to survive inside the Twin Towers. It will be a while before I read this, because I just finished The Only Plane in the Sky on audiobook, and that made me tear up while I was on my way home from my Christmas Eve celebration to myself. So, anywho, that is it. I will do another book haul later in the month when my December pre-orders finish rolling in. And I did accidentally have another accidental bookshop thing. But anyway, that's not this video. That's all I've got for now. Thank you for listening along with me. I hope you'll join me on my journey as I grow this channel and become more eloquent and professional. Happy reading!